Hey, this is masesq with a new Bleach Immortal Souls video. Wanted to talk about World Championships that is currently going on. We're a few days into it. There's still 10 days to go. And I just wanted to give some helpful hints to everybody, at least how I approach it, as well as I hope how a lot of people approach it. First and probably foremost, let's go on into the thing. When I go into World Championships, I actually look at it first and foremost as a testing ground. The reason for that is it's the one time you get to play against players from every server. And I know it has its disadvantages for some, because some servers are farther along than others. They do equal things out, which is nice to a certain degree, but it's still not going to replace certain things, in particular characters as well as length of playing. So there are going to be people further ahead, of course, than you. So that's why, to me, testing is the best part about this, because you can throw different things out there, see what works, see what other people are playing, make notes about that into your head, think about it, keep it in mind for later on, maybe when you have that particular character or you see somebody using a combo you like or a particular war soul combination. That's what makes it really good. So that's the first thing that I'm always most excited about, is testing. Because when you go in and look, let's go into deployed so I can show you. You know, if you're lucky enough to get far enough ahead, you get to a point where you have to have 7 teams. Most will probably be in the 5-team range, but even that's great, because what it does is it forces you to be more creative. And that is the essence of any game, is creativity and thinking outside the box sometimes to see what will work and what won't. And then you take that and, you know, keep expanding on that in the future. And let me go down to my bottom teams, and that's why, you know, this is not a team that I would play normally, ever. But what I do is I look for, and I love to test the 2-2-2 strategy. So, for instance, I get to take advantage of having the attack plus 10% bonus, the damage plus 10% bonus for the Azure Dragon basic soul haul. You also get the crit chance of plus 15%, crit strength of 20% when using the White Tiger soul haul, which is 2 on the field. And of course, if you got Black Tortoise, you've got the damage reduction increase as well as the block strength increase. And don't sell those too short, because in a lot of situations in this game, that actually works better than the other types of soul hauls. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that. Look at your characters, see what they can do, and really try different combinations. I mean, my favorite part about this is always working on different female-based teams, because I think those teams are very viable in this game. And it's another one that I like to mess around with, and I'll change the characters daily just to see who works and see who doesn't work. And in this particular case, yeah, I'm using Halibel's the Genesis haul, which is great, but I also get to build it as an all-female team. So I get to really test it out, because I really do want to have like a top tier all-female team. And I still haven't decided yet if I prefer the 2-2-2 with an all-field team, or going with Halibel and her Genesis soul haul. But again, I'm just kind of talking right now because the whole idea of this is, you know, be creative and think what you can do. But one of the best things you can do, especially if you get to the 7-team setup, and even with the 5-team, is, you know, focus on those soul hauls first if you can. I mean, as you'll see, I've got running, actually I normally run the Black Tortoise Sage haul, and then I've got the Azure Dragon Genesis haul, and the Azure Dragon Sage haul, and the Black Tortoise Genesis haul. I try to build around those first, but I always leave the bottom 2 as my experimental groups that I like to mess around with. So again, I'm just trying to stress the point is, just be creative and really, you know, take chances. You got nothing to lose. You know, let's be honest. the prize breakdown all the way down the road, you know, they're not that far apart from each other. First and second and third and fourth and fifth are not that big of a difference, and it kind of continues that theme. So, you know, if you're at 500, it's not going to be that big of a difference if you're at 480. So have some fun with it and take chances. And that kind of goes to the next thing I'd like to talk about. One of the biggest problem areas I see with people and their teams in here is putting everything into one or two teams, and then their other three teams, let's say if there's you have to have 5 teams, are just not that good. Where if you just pulled 1 or 2 characters out of your first 2 teams, you could make a really good 3rd team, possibly a decent 4th team, and then maybe the 5th team you struggle with. But you know, that's fine, because you got to win 3. So keep that in mind, to not put all your eggs in one basket, because part of this is stretching resources. That's the whole point of it. So you got to take that and understand that you got to really focus on maybe not going for the very best team you can have, but getting the best 3 teams you can have, or the best 4 teams you can have. Keep that in mind when you're building your teams, because it really does go a long way, because you're going to run into a lot of people that throw everything into 1 or 2 teams. So you know what? You throw your worst 2 teams against them, and you know you've got 3 solid teams to take down the rest. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. Last but not least, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, okay? It's a long process. I mean, we still have whatever it was, 10 days left. So think about that. So don't jump the gun right out of the gate, okay? Really say, okay, I'm going to test the first couple of days. I'm going to see what works and what doesn't. Then I'm going to start to solidify my teams and work my way up the ranking. Look at it that way. You don't have to bust to the top. Of course, it's ridiculous when I say that, because I normally do, but I do that for a couple reasons. I know my teams now, so I know I can set in a pretty much 4-team standard that I'm comfortable with, and then those other 5, 6, and 7 I play around with a lot. And then I'll even mess around with my top 4. A lot of times I'll change things every day. I'll move a war soul, I'll move a character. I want to see how it performs. And especially once the higher ranked players get up there and they're hitting me, it allows me to see what worked and what doesn't. You know, a lot of people are always bummed when they lose, but don't be, because even when I take losses, I look at it as, okay, what can I learn from this? I look at the video. What worked? Why did I not win? What was my Achilles heel? Or what did they do better than me? So just think about that when you're doing this. Approach this as just one huge testing ground first, especially for that first 7 days at a minimum. Because in the end, you know, everybody's pushing those last few days anyway. So if you really want to compete, you need to be prepared for those last few days, and that's when you're going to have to push anyway. So I just wanted to give everybody some encouragement, because I hear some people get discouraged sometimes. And again, this is not the be-all end-all, the World Championships. Honestly, I find Kenpachi a lot of times a little bit more satisfying, because you're playing more even-keeled teams all the time. But with Worlds, it does allow you to kind of get a sense of what all these servers on their different levels and the people on them are doing, since it's really the only time you get to see them. Before I sign off, let's go ahead and just take a closer look at my teams real quickly. As you can see, in Team 1, I've got, I'm using the shield tank front line with my standard Nell and back line for bleeders. You all, if you've watched my videos before, you've seen this lineup many a times. In slot 2, it's my Tenza Sengetsu grouping, which you've all seen before too. It's one that I really like. In this one, though, I don't go with a healer. I'm testing out to see if they can survive on their own with using no healer with this group, as you can see, because usually you'll see Unohana where Mayuri is. So again, like I said, I like to try things out. My team 3 is my Anniversary Aizen and the new Ichigo team. I really like them with Vasta Lorde. I really like them with Anniversary Ichigo as he's helping push them. So again, it's one of those teams that isn't really solidified with me, but I'd like to give it a shot. And honestly, I have a little reluctance with this team. That's why you see Christmas or Hime in there to assist with the healing. My team 4, again, another one of those teams where not 100% sure about, so I'm giving it some testing. I really like the Baragon front line with the SSR and the UR and using Zaz up in the front. I love the 3 of them together. They do a really good push. My backline in this one is what I don't like as much. You know, I love AY, but she only hits 1. I love the first version of Aizen, but he only hits 1. So that's kind of why I have Shinji in there, because he does the rage reduction, but he also hits the whole team, which is nice. They've done pretty good, surprisingly. I did not think this team would fare too well, but so far they've been doing okay, which kind of makes me happy. Team 5, again, you know, as you can see, I try to spread things out. On this one, I love Christmas Rukia on the front line. And I've got Kensei, of course, and in that back line, I'm really curious to see how the newest Butterfly Aizen's going to do, and that's why he's there, hitting that whole front line, which I love. And then, of course, you got, you know, oldie but goodie Kenpachi, and then Grimjaw version 2, the UR, which, of course, is great. Yes, it only hits a column, but he's a great character to have, especially if you're going against somebody that's got a very stacked tank front line. His skill set just works so well for that. And then again, like I told you, I'm kind of messing around with some female teams right now. I always do. It's one of my pet projects. I'm hoping to do a feature video on it once I find the 6 that I like the most and put that out there, because I do think they're very effective when you just get those right combos. I used to have a team I really liked a lot, but with the changes in some of the new characters and some of the War Souls now, I'm not as happy with it. So I've kind of scratched the one I was using for a while, and I'm just testing out all different ones at this point. And trust me, these 6 will not be the final characters. Unohana will stay there, and Halibal UR will stay there, and Halibal SSR will stay there. But the other 3 are pretty much still up in the air. Those are the only 3 I'm certain on at this point. I have a feeling SSR Nell is going to find her way back in there. I really like her in that group too. But like I said, I'll do a feature video on that down the road. And the last team, again, like we talked about, I just threw out a 2-2-2 team just to see how they do. I mean, you know, those two SSRs on the front line, the Renji and Kamamura, they are great tanks. I mean, they're good, solid tanks for what they are, for being the type of characters they are, the ease of getting. And I keep them around because I use them all the time in Worlds. They find their way in so many different team setups. Sometimes they'll go into a top level team, one of them, because I need to pull a character for somebody else. So those are 2 that are always great to take advantage on. And don't ever discount the original Ichigo and Zangetsu. They still, you know, in Worlds, they perform. You know, are they going to be a top tier level character? No, but they do a good job. And especially having Gin on that back line too, and Grimjaw version 1, those are both 2 solid attack based characters to use. But again, there's so many options out there. This whole video is just about, you know, take this for what it is, Worlds. Take it as a testing ground. Take it as experimentation, take it as creativity, and just have fun with it. That's the goal. It's a game anyway, so enjoy yourself, but also, you know, you got all this time to really take advantage of trying different things out. stuff that maybe you've thought about and haven't tried, or you see something that somebody else is doing that you like, but you want to do a twist on it, take some chances and have some fun. All right. Well, with that, I hope everybody's having a good week. Like and subscribe. Be back with you soon with some updates.